Hey y'all, long time no video. I'm gonna try to catch y'all up to speed. As we're approaching the Mustang magic, I really want to get y'all caught up on Frodo's journey as quickly as I can. So this video is gonna recap the rest of his time with me in Florida and a little bit of his move to Texas. It's not gonna be the same super detailed training video y'all are used to seeing, but hopefully it'll give you a good idea of what we got up to and the kind of training that went into getting him ready to go to Texas. So I spent a little bit of time working on putting the surcingle on him. We even did some ground driving, but the main focus became getting him really solid with leading around and trailer loading. Just like in the last video, I took my time getting the cinch on him. I'm never in a huge hurry and I want to make sure that the horse is comfortable. All the preparation paid off and he felt pretty good wearing it around. So like always, I'm just going to speed up a little bit of the training. And then I ask him to trot for the first time with something on him. You can see his ears are back for a second. He's a little bit attentive to what's going on him, and then he focuses back on what he's doing. We did some more trotting the other way because he felt pretty good, but I wanted him to relax into that movement a little more. So then I took it back to an exercise that we had worked on where I was able to put the flag on him while he was moving around. This helped to settle his mind. And he did so good. I like to keep it pretty short and simple for them so they know they've done well. The first couple times they wear a cinch, I really don't ask them for a whole lot. I'm just going to share a little bit of our ground driving. Again, I'm trying to make this video as brief as possible while really covering kind of a wide time span. So I just follow the same process I've done with other horses. You've seen it all in previous videos. Here is where I start to pick up on the outside line, and he gets a little unsure. So even though I've prepared him for that feeling of the rope behind him, the first time that they feel that pressure, especially with the rope attached to the surcingle, so at a little bit of a different angle, sometimes it confuses them. So he's trying really hard to figure out what I want, and that's why he goes to turn and face me, because typically the answer is to turn and face you. But for Frodo, this is something very different to him, and so I'm just giving him a bit of time, and there I saw an opportunity, asked again, and he figured out that he was meant to turn around. Almost everything we do with him is turn him in face, put your eyes on me, pay attention to me, and then suddenly you're asking them to turn around the other way, and sometimes they can get a little bit confused with that. So we got a little more relaxation later in the session. It was just a whole lot of repeating that same thing. And so it's pretty normal that they get a little bit unsure. Sometimes they speed up or kind of lean into that pressure because they don't know what to do. And eventually he figured it out. So it was great for him to be able to find that relaxation in the same training session. And that was a much prompter turnaround. He didn't feel the need to speed up or anything like that. So here we are a few days later, demonstrating an exercise that I like to do with the horses before I take them out of the pen for the first time. I have a few things on my checklist that I like to have the horses accomplish, and this is a really important one. So I want to make sure that they'll yield to that pressure of the lead rope no matter what direction it's coming from. It's something that I'll do before I ground drive them, and it's something that I'll also do afterward just to really refine that understanding of pressure. So I need him to follow the feel of the lead rope even if it comes from behind him, because if he goes to spook and bolt, he might end up rushing in front of me and then I have to stop him from all the way behind him. And if that's the first time they've felt that kind of pressure, it might scare them more, causing them to bolt and pull the rope out of my hands. Now I certainly don't want that happening because I don't want him to learn that habit, and so I'm trying to prevent it from the very beginning. So teaching a horse this can require a little bit of preparation. I already know that he can yield to that pressure on his face from side to side, and he's okay with the ropes going behind him. It can cause him to be a little bit nervous, but that's something that he worked on and he got a lot better with. So I want him to be able to do it moving around and also from a standstill, because it creates a little bit of different pressure each way. But this is just going to prepare him for that feeling in case, like I said, he rushes in front of me and the rope ends up behind him. I don't want it to scare him even more. So here he's doing it from more of a standstill in the beginning. He does walk off a little bit, but that's because I had the rope kind of low, so I wasn't applying the same amount of pressure as when I have it behind the horse's stifles. Once I got it up above his hocks, I was able to apply that pressure, and he turned right around. So then it was time for Frodo to lead out of the pen for the first time. Like I said, I have a lot of checks that I'll do, but that's one of the more important ones. But I really felt like he was ready, and he was getting a little bit sticky in the gate, so I was just taking my time, letting him sniff and think about leaving the round pen. Every time I put pressure on that line, though, I want him to come off it, so I'll strategically wait until I feel like he's ready to take a step to put that pressure on, and then release when he does.
I'm gonna wait till you're kind of far away to stand up.
If he ever proves me wrong and I put the pressure on, he doesn't come right forward, what I'll do is I'll ask him to take a step to the side or do something else, and so that way he always learns to come off the pressure every time. We took a little bit of a walkabout. I didn't want to try to lead him straight into the barn because walking into buildings can be pretty intimidating for Mustangs, and so I wanted to let him see a bit more of the farm first.
Is your trailer hooked up? We can start loading now.
We meandered around a little more. I let him take some grazing breaks. I like when they feel comfortable enough to put their head down and graze, although I was being careful that he didn't get startled while he had so much slack in the line. But he felt pretty good, and so I decided to walk him up to the barn. It's important to have a long enough line when you're doing something like this, and it can be a good idea to wear some gloves. We do everything we can to prevent the horse from spooking and bolting, to teach them to feel safe with us and that they don't have to bolt away from their fears, but it can still happen. These are wild Mustangs after all.
Look, I'm eating grass. We really do not have to go in there.
So the reason I'm leading into the barn so soon is because very soon I have to start teaching him to trailer load, as I want him to be relaxed and confident about trailer loading when I have to ship him to Texas. The barn's kind of similar to a trailer if you think about it. It has mats on the ground, it has walls, it has a roof over its head. It's basically like a bigger, easier to load in trailer. So if I can get him used to going in the barn, in the stall, then loading on a trailer will be something that's very similar to that. It's not like he's never been on a trailer before, but being let in by a handler is very different from going in through the chute. So I'm doing the same thing I did leading him out the gate. I'm taking my time, applying pressure strategically, and rewarding every try. I'm kicking dog toys out of the way, apparently. So I'll ask him to go side to side. That way I get some kind of a positive response to the pressure, rather than getting in a pulling match. I don't want to sit there and play a game of tug-of-war. I want to actually ask him questions that I feel like he can say yes to. Even if they're little questions, every yes is a win. So we take our time inching our way into the barn. There's a lot of stimuli in there, a lot of things to look at, and for a horse like him, he's a little more sensitive about things that are around him. He can get nervous when he feels like he's enclosed. So I wanted to make sure that he felt like he had the space to go somewhere. So I started to lead him into the wash rack as soon as I could get him kind of into the barn.
Option is to leave out that way. She's considered a couple times. Good.
The reason we went in the wash rack is so he didn't feel confined going between the fan and that wooden post. He felt like he could go somewhere else instead.
Oh, what a good boy, Frodo. Does Frodo like Knickermakers?
The only thing he's eaten, you won't take them out of my hand, but the only thing he's eaten are the alfalfa plants.
What a good boy.
Yep. Nope. Our time limit's running out, so if you want to get to a safe place for me to go out.
Hey.
Good boy.
Yeah, look at you in the barn. You're so brave. So I've never seen a braver horse. Oh, why is everybody galloping? Sit.
It's hard to see, but if you rewind and squint, all the horses started sprinting in the field, and that was just too much for Frodo.
That was some good hold. Well,
So like I said, we try to prevent those situations from happening, but we do all the training so that when they do, the horse can come back to us. I don't have a doubt that if I didn't do all that training, Frodo would have broken away from me, as he is plenty strong enough to do so, but he was able to stop himself and come back. Now, if I could go back, I would have moved the fan before I brought Frodo into the barn, and I would have just let him straight down the barn aisle. And later, when I did reintroduce Frodo to the barn, I did start by just leading him down the barn aisle. This way, he didn't think that it was this scary box that he was going to go in and be trapped and stay in forever. He just thought of it as something that he could pass through and go in temporarily, and that he would come out of it safely every time. So hindsight is 20/20, and that's a lot of why I film and make these videos, because I'm always critiquing and learning better ways that I could have done things. And every horse is different. Some of them have really benefited from going in the wash rack and learning to chill in there, and for Frodo, it just wasn't what worked for him. So I had Megan go behind him and just kind of encourage him to go into the barn that way, and this time I actually picked a different wash rack to go into. This one didn't have an open window behind it, so there wasn't quite as much stimuli for him to worry about.
wow. Poopies. Good boy. I think when you leave, Ellen, I'm going to be like pretty far down the aisle.
Yeah. I'm going to leave in just a second. I just need him to come back in.
Okay.
I don't need to blow his time.
Good boy.
Good boy. Oh, you're so good. You're so good. I don't know where the barn is with all the horses come out, so maybe I'll be a little less worried about it. And he was just trying so hard to contain himself. He really wanted to leave the barn again.
You think I'm far enough away?
He was trying very hard to listen to me.
He's worried about all that, so he's not really looking at you so much. Good. Good.
So I'm just trying to take things as slow as I possibly can, make it a nice, relaxing experience after he had a bit of a spook. And he came back from it pretty well. I was pleased with how he responded to the pressure. At first I kind of ran with him because I knew I wasn't going to be able to stop him right away, and then when I started to put a little more pressure on the line, he came back. So all in all, it was a successful experience. The training worked, and Frodo learned that he could go into the barn without having to panic.
Give him back. You gonna come in and out a couple times?
Yeah. Is the hose hooked up to his or Billy's?
What'd you say?
Asked if the hose was hooked up to Frodo's or the Billy's. Which one?
I want to say I did Frodo last.
Okay. Good boy. You would have been fine if the horses were running.
Well, it's good to know that when he runs away that he didn't learn to get loose.
Yeah, the training I installed worked.
That's pretty good.
I just left his rope on briefly because I was about to hose him down. It was pretty hot that day. And in case you're wondering what training a Mustang in Florida is like, it's sometimes you start with blue skies and then it's thunderstorming on you all of a sudden and you have to abandon your session early. And there's certain days where you really wanted to work on trailer loading, but now the ground is wet and it's getting dark. So good luck with that. So training was a little slow for that reason, and also because I was preparing for the Mustang Classic, and in the time span of this video I ended up going to that, coming home, and then returning to Frodo's training. So there really was a whole lot of time where Frodo wasn't necessarily getting worked with every single day, but he was still adjusting to domestic life pretty well. So here is a little bit of our trailer loading training. Just building up his confidence approaching the trailer the same way we worked on going into the barn. Just little steps, trying to ask him questions that I know he can say yes to. Instead of asking him to go straight in the trailer, I'm gonna break it down for him. Here is another day of leading into the barn, and this became part of our routine. We would practice going in the barn, going in a stall, and then we would go out to work on the trailer. This way, he sort of got to graduate between the different steps. You know, going in a stall is a little scarier than walking into the barn aisle, and going into the trailer is the scariest thing of all. So I got to build his confidence from the ground up like that. Camille's calling me, but Camille can wait. Good job. I'm gonna go in the washroom. Oh, it's slippery. You can't go in the wet one. It's slippery. Yes. Good job. Good boy. Good boy. Good. So like I said, this ended up being really good for him, just walking up and down the aisle. That way he learned that it wasn't somewhere he was going to be trapped in forever, and he started to practice walking past and between objects, which is something that could be a little nerve-wracking for him. We later ventured out into the arena for the first time, and I just let him have a nice relaxing walk around. Later he ended up offering to sniff some things, which was very cool to see him starting to show that curiosity. This was when I really felt like he started to connect with me and started to let down his guard. Anything my horse wants to sniff, they're welcome to, and he sort of drugged me over to this oxer. I wasn't going to bring him to it because I thought he might be worried about it, but when he asked to go over there, I let him sniff it for as long as he liked. Odyssey's name on the stall. We have Odyssey, we have Barrow, and we have Frodo. Here's a couple clips of Elisa helping me with Frodo's trailer loading. It can be really helpful to have two people when working on closing the doors. In a trailer like this, sometimes it can make the horses pretty nervous, especially before they've been in the divider. So we're just using the doors to get him used to the idea of something closing behind him before we try to shut a divider on him. Taking it really slow and just making sure that he knows he's going to be okay even if something's moving behind him. And you can see the progression as we slowly start to close the doors even more. So then I start to practice backing out calmly with him. I like my horses to be able to back out and to turn around and walk out if the trailer is wide enough that they can safely do so. To go in one of the Mustang pens for the night because it's drier than the round pen. It's actually not too bad, like it dries up pretty quick. So teaching a horse to tie is something that could be a whole video in itself. I like to use these blocker tie rings. That way the horse has a little bit of give so they don't feel like they're completely trapped, and they tend not to struggle as much when they don't feel like they're hard tied. And so I don't use the hard tie and let them figure it out method. I use a method like this. Now, before I do something like this, there's a lot of prerequisites that they have to have in their training. They have to have a really good understanding of coming forward off the halter pressure, which is something that I find that most horses actually don't have. So when you're leading and you pull forward on the halter, they absolutely need to know to come off that pressure before I start to do something like this. So this isn't going to be really an instructional video so much as just showcasing what I was doing with him, knowing that there was a lot of training that went into this. And we're in a pretty open area, which is maybe not the best place generally to introduce something like this, but we've done so much training that I knew he was going to be okay. So I teach them to tie before I try to close them in a divider, so I know that I can have their head in a good position, and then it's not going to get in the way or get hit as I'm shutting the divider on them. Just holding the rope, and then I'll be able to switch his lead ropes through the window so that he has a shorter rope on and not this entire thing. But he's being very good. So the last video that I filmed of him in Florida was me giving him a bath. This was his first time getting a bath, but he had already been sprayed off a bunch of times because it was super warm there. And so he was pretty good with the water, and he was just getting used to the sponge. He was a little bit wary of it, but doing pretty well. And I'm not sure where the video of him loading up went, but it was pretty dark anyway. So here's one I filmed of the horses at the gas station as we were en route to Texas. And here we have Frodo unloading. I was at my sister Camille's house. She gave us a spot to lay over with the horses so it wasn't too hard of a drive on them. and they spent a couple days chilling there before we moved on to our final destination, the ranch in Bertram. So Frodo was very good. I opened the divider and he turned because he definitely wanted to come out. He'd been on the trailer since early that morning. And so I was just taking my time, reassuring him before unclipping him from the blocker tie. And then he was very good to step out of the trailer quite calmly, all things considered. Stepped straight into a new round pen, place he'd never been, and then I was able to lead him into his pen. I was quite pleased with his behavior here, how he was acting in the new place, especially after such a long trailer ride, and he acclimated quite well to Texas. So, training really started kicking into gear once we made it to the ranch, and I'm excited to share all of his progress, or as much as I can, before the Mustang Magic. Well, thank y'all so much for watching this recap video. Sorry it was a little bit of a different style than my previous videos, but I hope y'all enjoyed it anyway.